Welcome back to another Calgary real estate market update with us here on Redline TV. Today in this video, I'm going to be speaking about 6 topics pertaining to the data and the results that we saw from February 2020. The first 3 things I'm going to talk about are the sales summary, the inventory story, and then finally our pricing picture. Then I'm going to follow up with tangible advice for buyers, sellers, and investors alike. Now, if you don't want to miss any of the content, the market updates that we release, I ask you to subscribe here to our channel here on YouTube so you don't miss any of the things that we release in the months to come. Let's get right to it, shall we? All right, let's start off with the sales summary. February was a really great month. We saw that sales increased across all property types in the whole Calgary region. Sales for the detached home market were up by 16%. Apartment sales were up a whopping 39%. And then the attached market saw sales increase by 29%. All of this is great news. Now, we were a little lucky this year. We saw one extra selling day in February, being it a leap year, but that one extra day did not skew the numbers enough to change the fact that we were significantly up in February this year over last. Now, in full transparency, when we compare to last February, it was one of the slowest Februaries we've seen in a very long time. So it's not unexpected for me to have been expecting a better sales month this February. But our numbers still did show that we have elevated significantly, and I'm happy for that piece of data to report. The second bit of good news that I wanted to talk about is the sales to listing ratio has actually increased. This means that there was a greater percentage of sales in relation to the new listings that came to market. When that is higher, we have a healthier market. And we did see this increasing across all property types. Okay, let's pivot now over to the inventory story for what we've seen in February, but also year to date here in 2020. One thing that I noticed changed from the message that I've been communicating forward to you for over a year now is the number of new listings that have come to market. We, for the first time in a long time, saw an increase in new listings in relation to this same time last year. This isn't something that we've seen for much of 2019 at all. We're up 7% with new listings in the attached market. We're up 14% in the detached market, and then we're up a little bit more, unfortunately, in the apartment market at 24%. Now, I don't like to see this, as we're still sitting in a position of too much inventory in the Calgary region. But the good news, despite that increase this month, our overall picture still has us below last year's numbers. And with those increase in sales I just talked about, we're still continuing to push towards the right direction. But I am still gonna be looking for those new listings in March, April, May, and June to drop off. I don't wanna see that bump continue. The other good point I wanna point out is the month of supply has declined across all 3 property types. What this simply means is sellers going to market are having the ability to sell a little quicker than at this point last year. Again, this supports a healthier market. To give you the actual figures, for those of you that are data guys like myself, the month of supply numbers dropped by 24%, and then the actual days on market to sell has dropped by 11%. All right, so for the last of the top 3 things you need to know, we're gonna dive into the pricing picture we're seeing so far. This, again, I'm pleased to say, is another good news story. All 3 of these segments are speaking about the good news happening in our market. But this little good news story isn't as apparent, because what we are still seeing is a decline in overall benchmark sales price from this point in 2019 to now where we sit in 2020. But the good news part of that is the year-over-year price declines have significantly slowed, which tells me we're moving towards a flattened market. Our specific drop was minus 0.79%. We're pretty much there. As always, the pricing picture is different across price ranges, communities, and districts throughout the city. So be careful, because some are performing a lot different than others. And when I say a variance and a fluctuation, what I'm actually seeing is there's just as many increasing right now year over year as we did see still slugging through and having a minor decline. None of this did we see in 2019, so it's making me smile a little bit more, and those of you who are homeowners should be too. I would expect this trend to continue, and maybe as we go through March, April, and through the major selling months, we'll probably see a year-over-year increase based on this presumed continued trend of increasing sales that I've already pointed out. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. When I say continued trend upwards, what I don't mean is swiftly and abruptly. I know we'd like to hear that, but that's not the full case just yet. So there you have it. Those are the top 3 things you need to know from February's data. Well, that's about it. If you've made it through the entire market update, thank you. Now, if you never want to miss another one of these, please subscribe to our YouTube channel so you never miss another update.